That's right, we're going to ask the experts. Why don't we start with that and some questions that we have gotten from the field in this edition of Ask the Experts.
That's us.
So say there's a cool intro that plays, right? Yeah.
Glasses for smart people.
Because only glasses, smart people glasses, that's all that happens. I find it odd that our producer who made that wears glasses. Our graphic designer who approved it wears glasses. I think maybe the Glass Coalition has got together. Yeah, oh, Scott wears glasses. Everyone but us wears glasses.
Yeah. So I guess it's the other way around. Yeah. Called out.
Called out. All right, so on Ask the Experts this week, we have a handful of questions coming in, and Scott will, you want to get us their first one?
Yeah, here we go. The first question is, someone says, I'm interested in making laser cut outdoor signage. What materials hold up well outdoors?
Wood.
Yeah, wood probably the last option, unless you had a heavily treated, lots of coats of lacquer and sealant on top of it.
Epoxy.
But epoxy, great for the wood, but even epoxy yellows in the sun after time.
Yeah, but if your wood's yellow.
There you go. If you got yellow wood, epoxy is the way to go. But otherwise, really acrylic is a great way to do. Anodized aluminum, a great way to go. A lot of people use granite outside. We've placed granite rocks on top of mountains we saw last week. Some people use the granite rocks to mark the final resting places of their little furry friends. But you can use lots of different materials outside. One of the easy things to do, let's say you have a metal sign that you want to use your laser with, but you're like, I can't engrave on this metal, it's not coated, it's not anodized. You can always tape it, cut out the signage, and then use spray paint. Peel the tape away, and there you go, you got it.
Or you can spray paint it first.
Either way. Or you can spray paint it first, peel, spray paint again. There's lots of options with the painted way to go. But another great way is just by using 3D layers, by like cutting your back piece, then actually cutting out each individual letter out of acrylic. It's another great way for it to last.
Yayo has a question.
Ooh, Yayo's got one. Yayo, I want to know if you fill the old laser tubes. If you fill the old laser tubes.
I'm guessing he says recharge. He's like recharge them. Some people used to recharge tubes, but it's actually not that efficient.
Yeah, it's really inefficient, takes a long time, and two, you don't get the best tube at the end of it. They're really a one-use thing, although you can see in some of our backgrounds, some of our shots, they make great wall decoration. A lot of people hang them in their shops with a sign underneath how many hours they got out of each tube, kind of as a kind of a neat thing up.
Some German guy turned it into an actual laser.
Oh, I remember that, the laser cannon, yeah.
Don't suggest that.
Don't suggest that, but also great for cosplay. If you're going to make a good Halloween costume, what a great thing to start with, a really cool laser tube. So yeah, unfortunately, Yayo, that's mostly a one-time use. You can look for services online for people who refill and reuse their tubes. Again, just not the most efficient use of it. And granted, that might make sense coming from us since we sell laser tubes. It's really, we're just being honest with you, like it's really an inefficient process, and the laser tubes never work really well after they've been recharged.
And I think a lot of recharging happens overseas.
Absolutely, so you're shipping it over and shipping it back, yeah.
All right, we got another question. This one, we got a lot of people asking this in one form or another as they start their spring cleaning. They're asking, what routine laser cutting upkeep and maintenance do you do in the spring, or the quarterly upkeeps?
Absolutely. Walker probably talked the most about this since he cleans all of our lasers for us. Just kidding.
Yeah, I maintain them. So, the only one. So I would start with cleaning it and then lithium grease on the rails.
Absolutely.
That's skipped over a lot, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The lithium grease on the rails help for that smooth transition for your stepper motors, and really prevents any of those like stoppage, or you see some people skipping, or some areas where like the motor skips or has a place where it catches because some buildup on the rails. That's a common thing that happens. So keeping the rails not only clean but also free of debris is an easy thing to do. Looks like we might have lost our picture there for a second. We apologize. Okay. It'll be unfrozen. I'm so glad that my face was frozen in such a good frame, but you look like you're so impressed with what I'm saying, I'll tell you that.
I
so
know.
I do apologize for the little delay here as we get the image going again. We have one more question though, Scott. You can cut to that.
Yeah, we have on Facebook Live being asked, how long can you expect to have your tube last, and how do you tell when it needs time to replace?
Really, your tube, it really depends on usage. Tubes can last thousands of hours if used just for light engravings. If you're doing a bunch of heavy cuttings, and really it's as much as how much you're using lasers, it's like how much you're using it in a long period of time. So if you're doing a lot of long, deep cuts, your tube won't last as long. If you're doing a lot of shallow engravings and you're not doing them consistently one after another, it'll last a really long time actually.
Yeah, I've had customers come up to me and say, I heard that you have to replace the laser with the labor tube eventually, but I've never had it to, and it's been 5 years.
It's a very common thing, actually a really common thing. Most people, especially if you're using a hobby laser for hobby purposes, many people have that same tube for the entire length of their laser. But if you're using your hobby system or a Pro Series system for mass production, that's when you have to start kind of looking at some of your length. And really you'll start to notice when your power starts to drop, you'll notice less light in the tube. There's a few indicators that you could be losing power, but most people misunderstand your laser tube losing power from just an alignment going a little out of line.
Yeah, along with maintenance, I'd like to say that my dad used to say if you clean your car inside and out, it's going to last longer.
Absolutely.
And that's not because you're not doing maintenance, it's because you actually care about it. You take care of your machine.
Absolutely. So care of the machine in general, as you're coming in the spring, like you can use your oven off cleaner to clean the bottom and even the honeycomb of your machine. Your honeycomb, the best way to clean that is just spraying your oven off or oven cleaner on it, letting it sit for a few hours, and then just real lightly rinsing it off with water. Don't take a pressure washer to it or anything like that. You don't want to bend your honeycomb with the high pressure water, but just lukewarm water after you have the oven off on it, and that will come right off. It's actually surprising how easy it is to clean that stuff off your honeycomb. Then the inside of your machine, same thing, you can use that. If you're trying to clean your optics or your laser tube, we found that Zeiss lens cleaner comes in a spray bottle or small squeeze, is the best solution to use. You can also use an IPA, which is really great and easy to use. Other lens cleaners tend to leave residue and things on top. You definitely don't want to use a Windex or anything like that on your optics. You could use Windex on your laser tube, but Windex still leaves a little bit of film on it, which you don't want to have on. If you do use Windex or something like that, clean it off again with an IPA so you don't have any buildup on your tube. Keeping your tube is really clean is pretty important actually.
Yeah, I think just general maintenance and everything, because all that moving components, you don't want gunk in there.
Absolutely. So I guess to summate or summarize spring cleaning, really just do an overall cleaning. Optics is a great time to do a deep cleaning on your optics. Rail system, a great time to do it. And then, surprised or not, like a lot of people kind of ignore the little bit of debris that builds up in the machine. You really don't want that built up. Once a quarter, it's great to go in there and get every little piece of wood and paper and cardboard or whatever else again there out of every nook and cranny that's inside.
That debris could actually catch fire as well.
That's actually why I was suggesting, like, you don't want that to become a bigger issue than already need be. Let's say you walk away for your laser for a second because some emergency happens, or your kid's screaming, or someone comes to the front door of your shop and you, for some reason, leave your laser unattended for just a moment, and I don't know, a piece of acrylic pops or a piece of cardboard flares a little bit and a little fire starts inside your laser system. As you know, very uncommon thing to happen, about as uncommon as a candle causing a fire inside of someone's home. But if that were to happen, having that bit of debris in there is really just going to make things much, much worse.
Yeah, essentially when you're cutting all those little pieces, you're making kindling.
Absolutely. That's
sitting at the bottom of your laser.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to put it about it. We got another question there, Scott?
Yeah, we got one last question. Ask Jeff Hayes here asks, how often do you grease the spindles for the motorized Z-table?
That's a great question.
Great question.
So I wouldn't do this that often. I would look at them, base by base. So they get dirty sometimes. A lot of times, if you're cutting acrylic, I wouldn't think they would get that dirty at all.
No, and really just taking a real common brush to them, keeping the debris off them, because really what you don't want on those large, I guess that would be your, what do you call the screws? Yeah, the spindle, sorry. The spindle is when that has debris built up on it, it actually affects the ability to move them all in unison. So if one of them's catching, you'll actually start to notice that your table can get a little out of square if those things aren't kept really clean.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people jump to alignment, but a lot of the times it's your Z-table that's just off.
Just a little off a little bit in the corner?
Yeah.
Easy way to check this is just put a level down on your Z-table and make sure you got a good level bevel in the center on all sides. And don't forget to do not only horizontal, but vertically.
Yeah, or just get a nice flat piece of metal.
Yeah, metal or acrylic, put it on there. Easy way to do it too. Anything else?
That's it for Ask the Experts.
If you guys have any, do you have any questions on Facebook that popped up?
Yeah, we got those.
Got all of them?
Got them.
Okay, great. If you guys have any more questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments. That'll conclude this segment of Ask the Experts. If you have a question you'd like us to do a deep dive on, next time we do this segment, just leave it down in the comments, either here on Facebook or on YouTube when we repost it, and we'll be sure to get to those as well.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, it's over here, and we've got a lot more videos over here.
Hey everybody, you like my video?